Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Mike.
Good morning.
Morning, and Nick is here.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. Mike, before we start, how's my audio?
Audio sounds fine to me. Why?
Okay, because what I ended up doing is I clicked up the gain 1 and clicked back the threshold 1. And it seems like right now when I'm talking, I guess that's part of the compressor. There's one red light that every now and then lights up.
The red light on what?
On the gain reduction dB.
Oh, you're talking about on the DBX.
On the DBX, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the settings aren't critical. That
Okay.
should work fine.
All right.
Mike, how's my audio sound?
You really haven't talked much yet, Nick, but so far what I've heard sounds fine.
Sounds
I'm
fine.
actually talking on my blue snowball right now, in case you're interested.
Well, that's the best mic in the world.
Oh, good.
Let's see it.
I'm not using one.
Where is it?
It's right here. It's right here.
Yeah, Amnon's using one.
It's actually across the room, but because it's a blue snowball, you can
Tell him, Amnon.
What?
argue. It's the truth.
Tell him that you're using a blue snowball.
I don't
Oh,
use it.
I
I
know
don't.
that.
I don't use it.
But for the show that he's using it for, it's a good use.
It actually. So you did listen to it.
Yeah, you told me about it, and I listened to it.
Yeah. No, I mean Mike listened to it when it was live. Oh yeah, you can hear it now on demand. But it worked really nice. I mean the Rabbi's audio is not as good as it was when it was with the laptop microphone, because the laptop microphone was right next to him, but you couldn't hear any of the other people in the room, and now everybody sounds sort of like the same. So that's okay. That's good, because it's the interaction that was important. So yeah, Mike, thanks for recommending it.
And tell Nick what I asked you about the setup.
You asked me a lot of questions. What did you ask
No, I
me?
didn't ask you one in particular. What did I ask you? I asked you where the high frequency control was set.
The high. What I don't remember.
Treble.
You mean the switch on the back?
No, the treble control.
Oh,
On the mixer,
here.
right?
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Mike was asking where's the high set, and I said, yeah, it's at 12 o'clock. And I was looking, and actually I wasn't looking at the right channel. And then I said, oh wait, no, it was at 2 o'clock, I think. So I moved it back.
So I can hear the difference coming through between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock on a blue snowball when run through a Behringer mixer.
There you go.
Through Skype.
Too much sizzle. The way I could tell is when the lady was talking, she had a lot of sibilance.
Yeah, my snowball's actually outside on the roof, and I'm just, the sound.
Well, that's where you're supposed to put it. Yeah.
It pulls it in really well. I'd say.
Yeah, everything. Normally everything is on 12 o'clock, but I think I cranked it up on Monday for Maryland when the Skype caller didn't sound very clear, and it made it a lot clearer when I cranked it up a little bit. So I forgot it on it. But yep, that was a very good choice. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So what else is happening? I was sort of out of it yesterday, so I didn't. I saw you were. What were you doing, Mike? You were talking about some audio not getting to the something?
I have to confess, I actually am building a studio, new streaming studio for some people.
Right.
It has some very nice equipment in it. One of the pieces of equipment is a Telos HX2 digital phone hybrid. And I have some of the equipment here because I'm playing with it. I've never used one before, and there are a bunch of settings and choices you have to make. So I'm spending some time learning how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make 2 cables for it. Actually, I only had to make one. I had 1 cable. And after I hooked it up, it wasn't working. And so then, of course, it could only be one of 2 things because I could monitor the output going to the aux out for the mix minus. And it only meant it could be the cable that I had just made. And sure enough, I got pins 1 and 2 reversed on the XLR.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
Mike, you're no longer an audio
I
professional.
know. I've lost it.
No, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Can you show us any of the equipment? Do you have any of it in arm's reach?
Here it is.
So what is that?
This is the Telos HX2.
Okay, and what's a phone hybrid for people that don't know?
All right. What happens is that whenever you take a phone call to put it on the air, the telephone line actually plugs into this unit. This is hard for me to do and show, but you'll see there's, I don't know how well you can see it, but.
So that's for POTS lines.
Yeah, this is for standard telephone lines. You connect, this is a 2-line unit.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you plug the telephone line into this jack this jack right here. And then you plug a telephone into this line right here. You can operate this telephone just like normal. So you can answer the phone to screen phone calls. And I'm not exactly sure how it works yet, but once you're ready, once you've screened the call and you want to put it on hold to go on the air, then there is on the front of the unit, again, I'm not sure exactly about this sequence, but there's this button right here, which is a hold button. When you press that, the caller goes on hold. And whenever the host is ready to take the call and put it on the air, all he does is hit this button right here, and the caller is on the air.
So it's not like at the station where everything was done from a phone. This has to be next to you, or the board operator, if they have such a thing, to do it.
Now, isn't there web interfaces for that where you can do it?
Not on this one. This does not have a web interface. It does have this GPIO remote.
Okay.
So that you can build a remote or buy or build a remote panel for it. I'm going to build one.
That's a little disappointing. How much does that unit cost?
$1,200.
That doesn't have a web interface for doing that stuff?
Well, it doesn't really need one. And when you consider
that's in a rack in a back room.
Yeah.
I mean, you do kind of need one.
No, you don't.
What do you mean?
How
you don't need a web interface because, I mean, the only thing you only got 6 buttons.
No, but I'm saying if you want to put that in a rack somewhere else in the station, how would you answer the call? You'd have to have somebody standing over there to click it?
You got to put a remote control in there. This remote control has a ring indicator, so you'd have a light showing that you can do whatever you want to.
That's what Nick is talking about, where he says that's disappointing. That, I mean, it's not something that you can take out of the box and plug something into it and run wires, and I mean, you have to build stuff. They do not. They do not have a phone for it. I mean, they don't make a phone for it.
It's just a standard telephone.
Oh, I understand that you can plug a standard telephone in it, but remember what was it at the station? Gettner, something like that.
They have a Gentner, but they also had the stack VOI stack.
And the phone had everything on it, all the buttons that you needed.
So that. If you want one of those, you can get that.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So you can plug one of those things in them.
The digital hybrid circuit built into this is used in multiple Telos products. If you would prefer to have a more sophisticated system like the one you're talking about, Amnon, it's closer to $4,000.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
the
No.
Gettner's a little bit different than that. The Gettner is actually like there's a dial pad on the front of the Gettner, so you're dialing.
Right.
The Gettner is an all-in-one unit.
Oh
That
yeah.
unit
I mean,
still hooks up to
well,
the
I mean,
phone,
but
all that other stuff.
still, it connects to a unit that's on the rack in the back room, and you can have it from different studios, and you can dial out. But the point is to screen and to put it on hold and then put it on the air. All is done from the telephone itself.
Yeah. Well, like, a lot of TV stations still use the Gettners. That's a big thing for them.
Well, that's okay.
Here's a link. I'm going to post a link for one like you're talking about, Amnon. This one is very similar to the one that you used at the radio station. It is this Comrex Stack VIP.
Comrex, that's it. Comrex.
Okay, this one's the VoIP version, which it's interesting that I just clicked on this because yours was not a VoIP version. Yours was standard POTS telephone line.
Right.
But the telephone set looked almost identical to this one that I just posted in the chat room. And what's interesting about this one is $4,000. And what is interesting about that is that's not a bad price for VoIP lines. How many lines does this take? It looks like it'll take 6 lines, and it has built-in call screening software. It interfaces with Skype. But I mean, $4,000 is a lot of money for anybody but Merle.
Merle's got unlimited funds.
So you were saying you're building it for some people. Is this for an existing station or something that is going to go into new media, or is it completely new?
Talk radio. It's a brand new talk network.
Okay. Well, nice. People are spending money. I mean, the Comrex you can find on eBay with a few phones for POTS lines, not for voice over IP.
The problem with those, though, Amnon, is that see, this is what people are overlooking with regard to used telephone hybrids, because over the last 10 years, things have changed dramatically.
Sure.
People have gone from wireline phones to VoIP and to cell phones.
Right.
The problem with those is they have inherent latency in them that standard phones don't have. So that makes it more difficult for these hybrids to provide echo cancellation and a full balance.
I have noticed that I've been listening to a lot of stuff recently, and it involves TV stations talking to people in the field with on cell phones, and they pick up the call, and they have the caller potted up while whoever's talking to them, and you just hear that. I mean, the echo is atrocious, and it's this it's almost a direct feedback from the phone until the people start talking, and it's awful to listen to.
And when you go overseas with a cell phone, the problem is compounded. It's just dramatically worse.
Yeah.
So what happens is, anyway, bottom line is that these newer units, this new breed of units, has software that is optimized to figure out what that echo and delay is and to compensate for it dynamically with digital signal processing. When I was doing some testing last night with this box with Sean, he called. He's never called into a radio talk show, because what happened is when he called in, I hit the hold button, so he immediately was placed on hold. He could hear the audio coming through the mixer. When I was ready to put him, quote unquote, on the air, I hit the on air button, and after about a second and a half, then he and I are connected. He said, well, it sounds great, and yes, I could hear you on hold. The problem, though, is he said, when you were ready to put me on the air, he said, I heard this long burst. He said, what's that all about? And I said, that's normal, and that's always going to be there. The host has to learn how to use that correctly, because that's a digital burst that the box sends down the telephone line, because it sends that burst, and then it looks at what comes back and uses that differential information to create a profile for the digital signal processor to minimize the echo and delay.
Well, there you go. Now you know.
So, Mike, what happens if we wanted to do it, and I went and got one for POTS, and then I got 2 ATAs and used voice over IP.
Well, we could do that, but
eyes into it.
you don't get any phone calls for one thing. For another,
Right? No.
there
I'm
is-
saying theoretically, what happens if
It
you?
would be it would be a waste for you.
I know. I look. I don't need it. I've got the telephone system here that
I mean,
works
Michael,
just fine on the air without any of these boxes.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, look at what we were doing a little testing with what was that, the OBI, doing something possibly with Skype. I mean, how much would a used Comrex be for POTS?
Up to about $400 or $500.
but
sound
I
like-
would.
It would sound like
wouldn't-
crap.
I wouldn't do that. I would not use a used. I wouldn't get a
I'm
used
saying.
anything.
I wouldn't. You would. I mean, the thing would be 15 years old, and it would sound like garbage. It would sound like. I mean, you wouldn't be able to understand the callers, especially if they were driving. Imagine on a cell phone driving. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, with cell phone especially, it's. I mean, I'm still having a problem having a guest call in on a cell phone because it just doesn't sound right.
No, it's never going to, unless you've got what system offers HD audio mic and there's a phone app for it. Is that Comrex that's doing that now?
Oh, they're all going to do it. Any of the VoIP systems.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say a moment ago is that there's a unit out there that by a company that I'm not a big fan of the company. I mean, they're great people, but their products are generally cheaper products called JK Audio. They've come out with a box that is, it's called the, let me get this right. It's called the IP2. I forget what the first part of the brand name is, but this IP2 box is a VoIP box. Instead of connecting to POTS phones, it connects to the internet. You put, from what I understand, you put the VoIP account information in there so that you have 2 VoIP phone lines coming into this box. And whereas I'm not a big fan of the products that these guys build for POTS, and they built some neat little boxes, but they're not up to Comrex or Telos standards based on what I've seen. But anyway, this box, I'm cautiously optimistic that it's quite different from their other products, because it's actually, the VoIP thing is not that hard to do. But what's interesting, I mean, they could have put Linux in this box and used some standard open source software to create the thing, and it would work as well as a dedicated computer working for that purpose. And the dedicated computer working for that purpose works extremely well.
This thing is dirt cheap.
And it's cheap. So I almost ordered one for this project, but there are some unknowns. One, the first unknown is I don't know how good the box is. They're in short supply. The distributor was not willing to send me one to demo. I could buy one on a 30-day return basis, but I didn't want to go through all that. Second, I don't know what the latency of the VoIP lines through that box would be contrasted with the latency of a POTS line going through this Telos hybrid. Those 2 units, and 3, I didn't know what the availability of VoIP lines would be at this location based on the other uses of the bandwidth. So with those 3 unknowns, I decided to go with the Telos, which I know will work. They're putting in 2 POTS lines, but in reality, those 2 POTS lines are actually Time Warner lines.
Oh boy.
So while they're technically VoIP, they're not as bad as VoIP. It's actually a different technology. When people say, oh, no, that's not true, that's just rationalization. But the reality is you can actually lose your internet, of what I've told, and I haven't proven this. If somebody says it's wrong, then Merle, if you got questions, why don't you just call in?
I can attest to this. Is that what you're going to ask?
What? That your internet can go down and your phone can stay up.
Correct.
Yeah. It does. I don't understand how.
They're different technologies. It's not, it's the Time Warner phone is not a VoIP phone per se, in that it uses the Time Warner bandwidth to make and receive a phone call like it does with VoIPO or some of the other VoIP services. Like I've got a phone right here. In fact, all of these, Nick and I have this Obihide device where I have 4 separate Google Voice numbers through one device. If the internet goes down, they all are gone. There's no number there. But on Time Warner, the internet can go down and the telephone still works.
Yeah, but then you also have it vice versa. Where your internet is up and your phone just goes down for no reason. So
yeah, but the fact of the matter is that from what I'm told, Time Warner gives priority to their telephone customers, because if they don't, they're going to lose all their telephone customers
for like $80 a month or whatever they charge it for.
I think it was $34.95 a month.
Yeah.
As I recall. So we'll see how it works. If it can't be any worse than Sean Hannity or Rush Limbaugh, because that's the same equipment they use. So if it's as good as that, then it ought to be as good as these guys need. But Merle was asking why not use Skype and all like we do.
There's problems. It's not reliable.
It's not only is it not reliable, it's
all workarounds. There's no straight set solution. It's attaching this unit to this SIP number to that device, and
it's hacking.
Press pound 97 to transfer the call to me. There's no easy solution. I mean, it can be done, but Mike or I'm running has to run it. You're not going to explain it to some radio operator. They're not going to get it.
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to say it. But
there's no.
Hey, Mike.
It's a bunch of workarounds.
Mike, since the numbers, my pot, I don't have POTS lines anymore. It is voice over IP. You have a voice over IP. Why don't you call and let me put it on the air and let's see voice over IP through to a voice over IP to.
Wait. I have some VoIP lines. I also have copper lines and cell phones.
No, I want you to call me call the 2000 number, the 2121 on with a voice over IP, because it is no longer a POTS line here. It is also voice over IP. I just want to see latency. All right.
Oh, hello.
Turn off your mic.
My mic is off.
Okay. Wow, it sounds good.
But I'm not hearing you.
You're not.
Nope.
Check. Oh, really?
Yep. Hearing you through the Hangout.
I mean, it's coming through the Behringer. Why?
You got a send that's not working somewhere.
Interesting. I mean, can you hear me now? On the phone? I can't hear you even. Oh, there. Can you hear me now?
Oh.
All right, never mind. I mean, you sound
we
good.
don't need to do it now, but you need to figure out, because you've got a bad cable in there somewhere. I'm getting a whole bunch of crackling and noise in the
right,
phone
I
line.
know. I just unplugged and plugged it back, and
There's also a hum in the line,
yeah.
but it went away for a second.
But you sound really good, and
Well, this is a Google Voice line, because this is sort of what Nick was sort of referring to a moment ago. As a rule started doing more VoIP to VoIP calls.
No, we can't hear Mike. I hope you realize that.
You cannot?
No. We hear him through the feedback in your speakers.
What in the world? Why is it not?
So, Nick, this is why we are using the other unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought
honestly
thought Amron had you on speakerphone on his house phone.
No, this
I don't
was
know if Boldy
working.
has me on.
This was working.
Now I can hear him.
This was working great.
Well, you hear me coming through now, don't you?
Now I hear him.
See. I hear you,
Yeah, you hear him through the feedback. I heard him through the feedback on your speaker.
but it's not going out, and that's probably why he is not hearing me either. He's right.
No, you are hearing me through the Hangout, because I can hear myself coming back through the Hangout.
Now I hear it. You just turned it on. Whatever.
Nick can hear me now, and Dr. John can hear me now. They could not hear me before because I wasn't coming back through the Hangout. What I'm hearing, though, when you talk and when Nick talks, I'm hearing you through the Hangout. I'm not hearing you over the phone.
Wow.
Anyway, you can play with it later. I'm going to hang up.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I just wanted to see voice over IP into voice over IP.
But that's using Google Voice through an O-behind device, and I will tell you that when Google Voice is working, it works extremely well. When it's not working, it's garbage.
Yeah, cell phones are the cell phone stuff is awful. There's no, you would not believe the stuff that I watch, and they have a lot of it is they're in the middle of nowhere talking on a cell phone, and I mean the whole thing is incomparable. You can't understand a single word out of the person's mouth. It's just so low bandwidth.
Oh, and Mike, I see a setting here that is different than all the others on that channel. And again, Mike. I mean, Nick, if you look at your Behringer,
Yeah.
and you look at the channel, you have 4 switches next to the pot.
What?
Next to the fader of each channel,
Yes.
you have 4 switches,
Yes, I have 4 buttons.
and all the other ones, other than the mics, 1, 2, and 3 are pressed in. But on the phone, the one that says 1, 2 is not pressed in.
I have no clue what your setup is. That's the sub. What's your sub? Is your subgroup the speakers? Is your subgroup the output? I have no clue.
I
Are
don't
you
know.
using the subgroup to feed the phone line?
I'm using the
No,
My
it's
subgroup.
actually on channel 5. It's not a subgroup.
No, that's coming back from me. That's working. The question is, how are you feeding the audio? Either it's
I
got to
don't-
be through aux 1, 2, 3, 4 or subgroup 1, 2, 3, 4. How are you feeding the audio back to the phone?
It does have a aux send on it. It's on aux send 1.
Okay, that's unusual. We play with it later. Let's Don't do it
Interesting.
now.
I don't know, something. That's the only thing I see different here that on that channel. I don't know what's 1, 2, and 3, 4.
That's the subgroup.
Interesting. Does that mean that everything else is going on subgroup 1 and 2? Because all of them are down.
That means everything is going out on 1, 2. That could be the main stream. That could be an output stream. It could be.
Yes. So on the phone, it's not down. Well, I just pressed it down.
We should really do this after the show.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was just in. My point is that voice over IP into voice over IP, which many times really screws things up, sounded good over here.
But then you just demonstrated the exact problem. You're going through so many different systems that it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't used it in
Going to the live
2
stream, I
years.
can't hear myself back. I can't hear him. It's.
Yeah. We can try it
You
later.
can screw up a hybrid too.
But it's a lot harder to screw up. Like you said in that thing, there's one button. You press that button and the channel's potted up. It's going to be on the air. The computer volume is down. The sound card got switched on the computer. There's none of that.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that, I mean, if everybody could use it the way that I'm doing it here, then nobody would have produced the hybrid system. I mean, you need that. You need it for sure. Yeah.
So what's up, Merle?
Well, hey, you guys are talking about something that's always interested me. So, I'm an aspiring podcaster, broadcaster who wants to take live calls someday if I ever get my show back on the road. So let's say I don't have the $1,200 to spend for your hybrid because I'm not Andrew Zarian or over at the GFQ network and don't have unlimited funds. What's available to me today? I mean, I know we've talked Blog Talk in the past. They're crappy. You're telling me Skype's not reliable. So what would you guys do today for somebody just starting out who wants to take live calls and it be fairly reliable without, breaking the bank?
Now, do you
only
do live calls by phone number or live calls by Skype?
Well, I mean, either or, right? I can set up a phone number through Skype, right? I mean, I just pay for the service.
You don't want to do call. The biggest problem that Mike and I have had is call screening. That's where stuff gets really is call screening. If you don't want to do call screening, just having a Skype number is going to solve the problem.
But can't you do? I've seen somebody do some call screening in Skype where they take the call on one number and forward it to.
That's where stuff gets tricky. Where you're forwarding, answering on this phone, transferring it to this extension. That's where stuff. That's when I was saying before. This stuff gets really complicated real quick. It can be done, but you need somebody like Merle. There's no way that you're doing that while you're on air,
right? Because I'm a one-man show.
Well, but even if you weren't, like, there's no way your co-host is talking and you're screening calls on there. It's way too complicated. You wouldn't be able to follow a conversation. So it's like you need a dedicated person to do it, and that person would most likely be, like, off-site. Like that. That's the other thing Mike and I were looking at. Setting up some type of call screening. So
this is where Blog Talk Radio would have been great if the audio quality was better.
Well, I thought Mike or somebody in our little group had done that before. Weren't you screening Mike calls for somebody at one time?
Oh,
let me hang on a minute. We're getting the cart before the horse here. For starters, the problem with Skype, in addition to call screening, is that let's suppose that you have a Skype number, and if you want to be on the show, call ABC123. A person calls and they ring through on Skype, and then you take the call. Well, then a second person calls and they go to voicemail or whatever you tell them to do with it. There's no way that I have found on Skype to cause someone to get a busy signal. When you're operating the show by yourself, or whether it's you and a co-host and there's no separate producer, if the caller doesn't get a busy signal, then the call is really going unmanaged. The callers get frustrated, and a lot of things go wrong. It's just not friendly. Actually, there's sort of a workaround that I've come up with that we'll have to play with at some point. But that's just a single line. So what do you do in Skype if you want to have two lines? You want to be able to have and I don't want to get too deep into this, but let's say that with Skype, let's say all you had is Skype, and you want to be able to have one co-host or one guest, regular show guest on the phone call, and you want a second one, a line open to take calls. Well, you could do that with two different Skype accounts because you don't need the rollover or the transfer of the call. But with two POTS lines, for example, if somebody dials line 1 and it's busy, it automatically rings to line 2. If they dial it and lines 1 and 2 are busy, they get a busy signal, and it allows you to properly manage those calls. And the idea is that it's best for the caller to get a busy signal whenever the call is busy, whenever the line is busy. Now, let's get to Blog Talk Radio, because some interesting things are going on there. Blog Talk Radio is in my opinion, based on a conversation I had with someone day before yesterday, Blog Talk is in a sink or swim position. They're either going to hit a home run or they're going to strike out. I'm not sure which it's going to be yet. I'm tending to think they may be on the verge of hitting a home run. The reason I say that is because they have upgraded their servers to HD audio in beta. I've got a beta test account, as does Dave Jackson and several other people. And Dave is presently using Blog Talk Radio to dial in for his show, which is exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't know, Jeff, whether you sampled his show on Blog Talk Radio, but had you gone to Blog Talk Radio to his link, you would have heard his show in HD audio. I got to sneeze.
And it won't come out, huh?
No, it won't come out. Anyway, so there's a little bit more latency on the HD stream, not a big deal, but it's actually getting to the point for a show that wants to take telephone callers, and you want to do it remotely, you want to be able to do it easily. Blog Talk Radio, if everything works out, and they are trying to keep the the HD audio at $39 a month. They're trying to offer the updated service at the same cost. And if they're able to do that, they, as far as I'm concerned, have just become a major contender, if not the resource of choice for shows, that don't have full studios and want to take telephone calls.
Absolutely. I mean, Blog Talk Radio always worked great for us.
For its right
but
purpose.
The quality, but the quality
which
was
is what it is.
I mean, and you can have a screener that is, I mean, Nick was screening for the show from New York.
Yep.
I mean,
so what did I do? I dialed. Did I use Skype or did I think I used Google Voice to call into the screening number.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
But I don't remember what I used because I definitely used my computer. I don't remember if it was Skype or.
I think you went with Skype
But I didn't have a Skype number, so it must have been Google.
It wasn't a number. All you had to do is connect. Well, Mike, I mean, I forgot. Mike probably knows since he played with it lately.
I mean, it's been like, what, 2 years?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I think you connected with Skype to the host number or to the host account.
No, you did, Amnon. You connected through Skype.
I know I did, but how did Nick connect in order to
telephone?
There was a separate number for Google Voice because I remember I would be in Hangouts and I'd have to leave the Hangouts to use Google Voice.
But the point is it worked great. You can pre-screen, you put them on hold, you know which order they were that you can, and I mean it was really nice, but the audio was horrendous.
Even a call screening, I'd be like, hi, thanks for calling. What's your name, please? Sometimes I'd ask like 4 times.
Yeah.
I literally could not even understand what the person's name was.
Well, now, and again, I asked them about that, and I said, we really, I said, as far as the workflow was concerned, we were very impressed with it, but I said, sometimes we would hit the button to put them on the air and nothing. He said, yeah, I know. He said, we definitely were overloaded on the server. He said, we've completely changed that technology now to what he called a horizontal system that whenever they get over capacity, all they have to do is add more servers and it shares the load apparently.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
works.
We'll see. I mean, you may find me recommending them going forward, which is it's really funny because everybody was turning their nose up at Blog Talk Radio. And then I told them, wait a minute, just use it as a telephone bridge. And all of a sudden people think it's a good idea. But if this HD audio thing works out and they keep the cost the same, there's still some other things I don't like about them, like the 1 show per day limit up to 2 hours. What happens if you lose connection during the show? You can't reconnect to the second half of the show.
Right.
And he told me a hack to get around that, but it's pretty ugly.
Yeah, but I mean, not everybody can do hacks.
I agree. And that's what I told him, and he understood. He's sharp.
Well, maybe. I mean, if
they may become a contender.
If the quality is good, then I wouldn't mind resubscribing. And
how much were you paying for it when you were?
$40 a month. Yeah, 30 now, $40.
Well, you're in luck, Amnon, because I have an account and you can use it anytime you want to.
Well, it's that I don't know that we need it. I mean, I was just thinking if I have it like this. I mean, I remember Andrew used it and Nick used it, so other people can take advantage of it.
Right.
The one that you have, I don't think you should do that with.
If you signed up for an account today, you would not get HD audio. It's
I understand.
Not available.
I'm saying if that's the case and it's HD audio and it sounds good, then I wouldn't mind resubscribing. That's all.
All right. Well, by golly, let's do something here. Keep going. I'm going to work on something. You guys start talking.
All right.
I have a question for Merle.
Yes.
What are you currently working on? You have
right at this moment, or
like what with your shows? What are you doing currently?
we're trying
pod fading.
when I'm done pod fading, I am in talks to bring back the podcast Average Joe's. So that was my so-called moneymaker. I got more viewers from that than any other my stuff. So, and that's what I'm passionate about is politics. So I enjoy doing it, even if I just sit. I just don't like to sit in the basement and talk to myself. I need a good co-host that's reliable. So I'm in talks right now with a couple people to come back and do that. So.
So what do you do on that show?
What do you mean? What do we do? We talk politics. That's what we do. I mean, and we really look from it's a one-sided thing where the premise is I'm a constitutional conservative and I talk to a libertarian and we discuss things from our point of view. And of course, we don't agree on everything. So, that's what we do. So
there you go.
Yeah. So, and one day we would like to take callers, but in a political environment, as you guys know, I mean, you get some real nut jobs, and you want to be able to.
You would need a hardcore call screener and like dumps and everything for
exactly
working on a political
right. Because I don't want I don't want it to be all profane and somebody come on and
destruct button that would just blow up the computer so that the stream wouldn't get out.
Right, absolutely. And we would like to do live one day because live is fun, and this is really cool when we've the interaction of people but being nobody makes any money in this. I mean, everything I spend is out of my paycheck. I mean, I don't make any money. I've got like $2,500 wrapped up in software, microphones and mixers and websites and hosting for audio. And so, I mean, we're looking for a good, cheap, decent alternative. And like I said, I've heard you guys do some stuff. What I think you guys do with Skype is amazing. I mean, I've never seen it not work. I know you've had trouble with audio levels and things like that, but somehow you make it work. I don't know if that's, doing pre-show, Amnon's doing stuff or what, but to me, it just sounded like it works fairly well. And I can understand if somebody's going to do this to make money, like the thing Mike's probably working on, the guy's probably not doing it for fun. They're probably trying to make money. You'd have to go out and spend $1,200 on a hybrid. But I wonder if it's worth it because not too many people really use telephones anymore that I thought. I mean, most people, I'm more apt to talk to somebody through Skype or my Google Voice number than I am to pick up my landline.
Merle, you said like doing live is fun. And I agree with you. I experienced something last week on my show for the first time. And I don't know if Amnon, you've probably experienced this before as well. Being overwhelmed by the chat. I don't know if that's something you've dealt with before.
Yeah.
But I mean, like there was so much activity in our chat room last week that it was like counterproductive to the show. And I think Mike's brought up the point a few times that the chat can can sometimes do more harm than it can do good.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was to the point where I was like, I wasn't listening to Brian because I was in the chat, and then he goes, "What do you think about that, Nick?" And I'm like, what?
Right. But don't you think that's a slippery slope? Because to be honest with you, that's why I think I've known you guys now for a little over a year, and I don't know how I found you guys. But what was interesting was the ability to have that two-way conversation with somebody.
But you hit it on the nail. That's what Nick is saying. He could not.
The Computers 2K Now chat is really laid back and slow.
Right.
There's not messages coming in every 15 seconds. When Brian and I do this infection show, it's so interactive because everybody that watches has an opinion or has a 2 cents, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but they've got something they want to say or something that they think. The chat is flying by, and if you're not watching it, you totally lose pace on what's going on. So while Brian's talking, I'm looking at the chat, and while I'm talking, Brian's looking at the chat. It's like sometimes we lose the connection between each other.
Right. So maybe does that mean you need a third person? Because let me know. I mean, because I'm new at all this. To me, the thing that is sexy about this whole thing that keeps me coming back is, I have a voice. Like now, you guys say, "Hey, call in, ask a question." I think that's pretty awesome when you get to interact with people and talk to people on this live show. So I don't know if you start ignoring your chat room, then are your numbers going to go down? I mean, I think Zarian does a pretty good job for the free for all. I mean, he and that gets pretty crazy, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah. It's like you almost need somebody like highlighting the best things in your chat.
Right. It's just like a screener.
Yeah.
That will, because a lot of the stuff in there is you don't even want to read. I mean, when they put it. It's such. It gets to be a point where people are entering 2 words and scroll, 2 words and scroll. I mean, before you know it, you can't. It doesn't have substance. Let's put it this way. But Merle, I want to go back to what you're talking about. You, at your position, at your point right now, you should only get a Skype number, because I will not spend a penny on any type of equipment for like a hybrid at this point, because you don't know that people will actually call.
Right.
Now, you go with the Skype number, and with the Skype number, remember, it's not just one caller that comes in. You can have, I don't know how many, but it's all together. It's not like you can disconnect one person if you needed to. If you see that the thing is being used, quote unquote, then you can consider, okay, you know what? We really need that. I mean,
right, and that's a good point. That's definitely a good point, because, I mean, the odds are it would not be worth ever for me to go out and spend $1,200 on a hybrid, because I don't think I would get my money out of it.
Look,
I think that's what you're saying.
you don't know. Don't say that, because if the show hits it hard and a lot of people from all across the country are in there and it's beginning to leave its mark, then advertisers will come to you. And when that happens, you can afford to buy these things that will make it even better. It's like a snowball. No pun intended there. That's how you do it. It's when that's my philosophy, is when you need it, then you put the money into it to get it and to make things better. And you even get more for your money, so to speak. When we started, we didn't have a mixer and all that. When we did from the station, it was, well, yeah, we did. We had like that 502 or whatever. It was really, really so basic. No money was actually spent. And when we saw that, okay, yeah, there's more and more people that actually want to go that way, let's put some into it.
So somebody in chat, let's see. So Tim in chat is saying, what about a Google Voice number?
Yeah, whichever.
Well, yeah, but the Google Voice is hard to do. I would say it's harder to do than Skype, because there's no actual client. It just rings like a Google Hangout.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, look, how much is it? What? I think a number on Skype is $30 a year or something like that.
I have no clue.
It's really not. That's not an expense, Merle, and the quality depends on the guy on the other side.
Sure,
but the quality is great.
Right.
And besides, people. I mean, the people that would on our show, people will use Skype to connect to Skype, so that's the perfect quality. But on other shows, when they call in, I'm telling you, they call on a cell phone, it kills it. It is in my opinion, it is unusable. I'm sitting here playing with the mixer, trying to make it so it's better quality. But that's not because of what you're doing, it's because of the other side. So start small, start cheap, just to be able to provide that service. And then if you see that there's a lot of demand, go higher.
Right. Well, that's cool. So what I've heard you say is then right now, for a no budget person like myself who doesn't want to spend any more money, Skype is the deal. And I guess
what you'll find that's interesting, and I found that depending on the show that you do, Merle, people may not even use a phone number.
Right. True.
Amnon was always giving me access to his
and they don't. Right.
His blog talk radio number, depending. I mean, the show I was doing, it was a gaming show. These people they're not going to call it on a cell phone.
Right.
They just called in on Skype. So depending on your show, even, you might just throw a Skype number out there. You know, the MC Prodnet caller or whatever.
Right.
You see here, look what Kent is saying. what we need is more callers. That's the thing, is you don't get those callers in unless you have something that they want to share. And I think with what you're talking about, Merle, with your show, that you would probably have callers. But Kent wouldn't, I mean, he'll be crazy to go and spend $2,000 on a hybrid when they don't get enough calls.
Sure. Well, and what I don't understand about the whole call, it seems like people are still like, sometimes I'm hesitant to call in because I just don't like to hear myself, talk on a show later. But I'm more apt to ask questions in chat until I get chastised by Mike and said, Merle, call in. So I don't know what that psychology is, why people will sit there. And I watch this chat and people in your chat room, Amnon, ask fantastic questions, but they won't call in. I don't understand that psychology, but
it's not just psychology, Merle. At the radio station, they forbade us to use email and forget about chat, because the policy was, we are a radio station. We need people to call in, not to write in, because our ratings depend on stuff like that people are doing that. No, don't let them ask questions on email, and no chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And like I said, I do it myself. I would much rather type something in. Like, I will never call into free for all just because I don't know.
Right. I mean, the problem is that when you are talking, it is permanently there. When you are chatting, chances are it goes away because people don't see it. It scrolls over. I mean, like with our show, midnight, it's erased. It's gone. So some people are feeling kind of, when it comes to privacy, I don't want to be there on the internet for years and years for people to be able to say, but you said that, and here it is. It's I understand you, but when you are going into a show like you're talking about, which has to do with politics, people have opinion. They will want to come in and chime. They can't do everything on Skype because, on chat, because like we said, like Nick said, it goes away. It scrolls over. You missed it. It's gone. If you want to be sure that you are heard, you're going to have to call. So you're just going to have to start the show, do it. Don't sit back, like, oh, we're going to invite people over when we finish fixing the house. You never finish fixing the house.
Sure.
So start doing the show and then take a look at it after a few shows and say, okay, yeah, we need this. Oh, we don't need that. Remember when we said we were going to do this? No, we're not going to do this because they don't care. But start it. You have to start it. That's why people go to like beta. And they do like 10 shows in beta. I mean, I don't understand that, but just do it. Don't.
You can do it for free, and that's the thing. You don't need to start with a call-in. You don't need, just start with a regular Skype number. Everybody has Skype.
Right.
They have Skype on their phone. They have Skype on their computer. They got Skype on their iPad. Everybody has Skype.
Yeah.
So you don't, I wouldn't even worry about $30 a year for a call.
And you have email, and see if people say, I wish you had a phone number so I could call in. And if you get 10 of them, say, well, you know what? Okay, let's get a Skype number.
Because the majority of your people aren't even going to bother calling in. I mean, that's the whole thing. People aren't even going to bother calling in, and if they do call in, they most likely have Skype.
Right.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. I got to go. I got a 10 o'clock appointment, so
all right.
Good show, and I'll catch the rest. I guess on YouTube. So take care, fellas.
You too. All right.
Hi, Mike.
So, I wish I brought that up when Merle was still here. But this is an interesting point. I guess Mike is still busy. Okay. By the way, last week we were talking about it's the last For Windows 10 is the last version of Windows, and apparently not so much. So the multitude of tech sites are breathlessly reporting that Windows 10 will be the last version of Windows. These claims are based on a brief comment from developer evangelist Jerry Nixon while speaking a Microsoft Ignite session on Tiles, Notifications, and Action Center. However, Paul Thurrott points out you probably shouldn't take this news too seriously. Windows development has been changing for the past several years, and this makes a lot of sense. At the very least, we've known since we learned Windows 8 would be developed for multiple form factors. We've known it especially about Windows 10 since it was announced. Microsoft talks about transitioning away from giant monolithic updates. He says the reason everyone is talking like this is that Microsoft is pushing a Windows as a service vision, which doesn't mean subscription service, but rather that it plans to upgrade Windows 10 going forward with both functional and security updates, plus, of course, bug fixes. And he says, just like it's done with every single version of Windows ever. We have service pack, we have fixes and all that. So I think we jumped the gun there following all the other tech sites. And it's Windows 10 is really, it's not going to be the last one. So how they're going to charge and all that, they're going to have in Windows 11 and Windows 12 or whatever.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks. Well, I mean, it's... Sometimes you try to bring the news out as it's fresh, but sometimes you screw up because, shoot, I made a mistake here.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. Host mic has bad noise? Really?
Don't worry about it now. Don't derail the entire show.
No, I mean, I'd like to know what it is, though.
Well, it's probably your air conditioner or something like that.
Oh, yeah, the air conditioner is running full blast.
Yep.
I'll do it.
Oh, Mike, you done?
Yeah, sort of. I've been playing around with this Blog Talk Radio interface, and
all right.
I've got something set up differently on my computer, so it's a mess. I don't want to dig through it on the air. I was not.
Bring up your audio a little bit.
I haven't changed my audio.
I don't know. Nick, doesn't it sound lower?
I don't know.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
All right. Well,
close enough. I don't know.
I'll look and see if there's anything changed here. Might have been from Merle disconnecting.
Anyway, there was something here that I want to bring up, and you probably has something to say about that. Hosting a website, even WordPress, after your death has a variety of unexpected complexities, from renewing your domain name to hosting, security, monitoring, troubleshooting, and more. It's a gaping hole that we as technologists should start thinking more about, especially because all of us are going to die. Some of us unexpectedly sooner than would like or planned for. The only real solution, he says, was to share credentials and designate funds to descendants. And he goes, you done this, right? So, you think about it, and right now, I don't know how many passwords or whatever, Mike, you have for what I'm doing here. But if I croaked, a bunch of shows are going to die. A bunch of websites are going to become irrelevant. It is... What?
What do you care?
Well, I mean, yeah, right. It's not your problem anymore, right? But I mean, it's something to think about. You know, it's wow. You know, never thought about this. It's like you know, if you have a website that has a lot of good information on it, and you're a blogger, and you did a lot of research, and there's good information that should be there and continue being there for generations to come, and you die, there's nobody there to renew your domain, nobody there to fix the website if something security thing happen. It's need to think about these things, right?
Well, then think about it. Just set up a contingency plan. Who would like to have your business
Right.
if you croak?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's you have to set up some kind of a plan that will allow it to keep going. Or maybe it's not, and I mean, it may not be important, so never mind.
I mean, you could get somebody like Marshall to transition it to another host or something like that. Just tell him where the passwords are. Give the passwords to a document to Kathy, and if you croak, then she calls Marshall. Marshall gets busy transitioning your clients to some other host.
Yeah, I mean it's or somebody keeps the I mean keeps paying for what is happening. I'm not talking just about the business. I'm talking about end users that have websites. I mean, mine is it's a whole lot more than that, but I've got Ron that will continue hosting and making sure that everything is okay. And if it falls apart because maybe Ron doesn't talk good with customers, then that's different.
I sort of went through this a couple of 3 weeks ago because of an unfortunate event that I went through, because I started getting involved with domain names and things way early on before people even had a clue how to do it, including me. But I have a couple of reseller accounts on some cheap servers that I use for fun. None of it's any mission critical stuff that's worth paying for of any significant amount of money. But there are a couple of websites. I'm involved with some people who have websites that are critical to them. And one in particular, I manage their email on my server and on another server, and some redirection, But I also ended up, because I didn't charge them for it, I ended up owning their domain names, which I have no desire, need, or whatever to own their domain name, but it was in my account because I was paying for it, just because they're friends of mine. And I didn't bother to send them a bill for it.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about it, and I said, this is crazy, because if something happens to me, then they've got to get on the phone with Susan and try to find my passwords and try to unravel this mess and figure out how they can take control of their domain names, because I have no intentions of owning their domain. That's just a side effect of me trying to help them out. What I did was I found out that that GoDaddy will allow you to transfer domain names to a second account without having to do a transfer. You can actually change the bookwork on GoDaddy without doing an ownership transfer. You can change the registrant's name as long as it's on GoDaddy. The simplified version of that is, let's suppose that Amnon, I wanted to give you a domain name. I could go into GoDaddy, set up an account, transfer the domain name to that account. Then once that transfer is complete, you could log into the domain record for that account, change all of my information to your information, and change the password. You now own that account, and I've got nothing to do with it. I have no control over it at all. And that can all be done for free. What I did was, since most of these domain names were on GoDaddy or some on Namecheap, which I have another thing on that, but because some of these are on GoDaddy, what I did was I moved all of those domain names over, 3 of them for this one guy. And once I did that, his wife manages his business affairs for him. And what I did was I put all that information together. I logged in, I transferred it over to the new account. I logged into the new account. I changed all of the contact information to him, except for the technical contact, which I listed myself as the technical contact at his company name and at his phone number. but with my email address for managing the domains. Plus I have the password. Once I had that all together, I put it all together in an email, and I emailed it to them and explained to them what I had done, that I had taken care of some book work, and that set it up for them so that if anything happened to me, they had absolute control over their own domain names.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still manage them for them because I have the password.
Right.
So it's
Yeah,
a win-win.
it's
That's
the same
sort of thing that you're talking about.
It's the same thing on register.com, is when you can create an account and just move it over. I mean, it's a split second thing, and it's with the new credentials. Now somebody else owns it. Many times I register domains for customers because they don't want to bother with it, and then I'll go and set up an account for them and move that account, or the way that register.com calls it, push. And it's theirs. So yeah, that's very important to think about it. And I don't care how young you are. It's to think about something like this is responsible. Yeah, so Brian was saying how easy it was, but did he do it? Not yet. You see, that's the thing, is that we don't think that, oh yeah, I can do it tomorrow. And that's a bad thing.
Tomorrow may come, it may not.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Hello, Steve. All right, let's see what else I have here. Not much news from last week.
By the way, I was doing a test stream on Blog Talk Radio
Yeah.
with HD, my end on it, but the only audio going out on the stream was my voice, because the mix minus channel is feeding. It's actually feeding the Blog Talk Radio interface, and what I'm a little bamboozled over here is I can't find any way to change it. Normally, the audio input to the web interface is the default input channel. That's not what's happening here. My default input is line 5.6, but the channel feeding Blog Talk Radio is channel 7.8, which is not the default channel. So it's been so long since I've changed anything around. I'm missing something here. So I'll figure it out one of these days when I feel like it. But I posted that link earlier in chat, that TOBR or whatever it was. Yeah, TOBTR.com. That link is for another 5 minutes is just me talking. It's me isolated, but it'll give you an idea of what the Blog Talk Radio HD quality sounds like. And I could probably...
And this is something that you wanted me to try, right, Mike?
Yeah, but I also found out that they gave me a test account to play with, but it's limited to 30 minutes because I'm not paying for it. So that's not going to be worth anything to you.
Well, I could do 30 minutes right when the show starts.
Just to test it, just to see if there's any organic audience there. But if I ask them, they'll probably give me a full account. I'm not one for asking for a bunch of free stuff. I don't normally ask for free stuff, but if I'm going to be providing them recommendations, then I need to know how well it's going to work, and I'm not satisfied just doing a 30-minute test. I've contacted them and told them that it was limited to 30 minutes, and if they say yes, that's what we do on our test accounts, then that's fine, and I'll play with it some more. But to do some real world testing, they're going to have to give me a better account than that.
So I've got kind of a different question here, kind of technology wise. Do either of you have MasterCards through like your bank or whatever else?
Everybody has credit cards.
No, through your bank. Is it Master or Visa, like your debit card?
Both.
Do you have the little chip on the front of your MasterCard? The little, yeah. What is that actually for? Because our bank just switched from Visa to MasterCard, and it's got this gold chip on the front. What is that for?
I don't know. I don't know what it's reading.
Something for, yeah, it's something for security, but I don't know how it works.
Is this like the tap to pay thing that you see? Or is this just like theft protection?
You're talking about like here?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. That little gold, like, is that what, like when you see sometimes at the point of sales things, they've got like that blue thing that lights up on the top, and it says, you know, tap hard here.
I mean, it's a chip.
I know it's a chip, but I don't know because I don't know if it's just a fraud protection.
Probably.
Actually, I don't know. It's not an NFC chip, I don't think.
It's a GPS controlled device so that the black helicopters can find you.
Okay.
Watch it, Nick.
I don't know. We just switched over and I just activated my card.
All right, I want to try something real quick with the phone here. Can you hear the dial tone?
Nope. Yep. Now again.
Okay. Well. Yeah. Were you hearing it not through my mic, right?
Correct.
Well, then it's not
correct.
it's not that button. All right, never mind. Mozilla launched Firefox 38 for Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android. Notable additions to the browser include digital rights management, DRM, technology for playing protected let's see who's calling.
Hi, it's CJ from the Orange-Durham County line. I hope that I can talk to Amnon and other guys.
I've got somebody blowing leaves outside, and I didn't hear what you said.
Turn them up, Amnon.
Yeah, it's CJ from somewhere along the Durham-Orange County line.
Right.
And I've got a couple of quick questions for
Sure.
Amnon and the other experts.
Go for it.
Hello?
Oh, you can't. Can you not hear us?
No, I cannot hear you right now. Or no, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Sorry. Okay, well, yeah, I called in a couple months ago about they were laying the fiber optic network, and I thought I'd call you back because of everyone wanting to know how everything's going. And actually, they're still working on it. AT&T are still doing stuff, so they have not even offered me either through AT&T or Google the option to sign up. So I thought I'd let you guys know. I don't know if you've been talking about that recently.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I talked with an AT&T guy a couple of days ago, and he has been installing gigapower fiber connections in our area. It's not it's in my front yard. It's not available to me either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him what's going on with that, and he said, you should be able to get it. And I said, I know I should, but I'm not. And he said, did you call him? I said, are you joking? He said, did you check the website? I said, are you pulling my leg? I said, they don't have a clue. You guys are the only ones who know. He said, well, they don't tell us anything. But he said, I'm putting it in. He said, it's mostly new subdivisions where we're activating it. But he said, if it's in your yard, you should be able to get it really soon.
Okay, well, that's good to know. We always want more options and choices.
So I just do call us back when you get it. It would be nice to get some sort of a feedback as to what's happening. I monitor a thread on DSLreports.com. There's an AT&T thread.
DSLreports.com, you say?
DSLreports.com.
Okay.
They have a forum, a sub forum in there on AT&T.
Okay. I'll
and
check that out.
There's a guy in there named Brian Land who is in Apex who has 1 gigabit UVerse at his townhome, but he was probably one of the first people to get it. But people from the area are posting, yeah, they just installed it in my area, or I just saw the truck, or here's a picture of the box they're putting in my neighborhood. All those sorts of things are happening there. So that's a really good way to follow along. I'm sorry you don't have it yet, but I'm glad to hear that I'm not the tail end of the rollout necessarily.
Oh, I hear you on that. And thanks a lot, Mike, for that information.
Well,
Now,
good.
my
And
next
thanks for calling
question,
in. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, my next question, if you guys can help me out. Actually, I'm either into the third, maybe about 3 years ago, of a laptop, and I got a note, and a Windows version 7. I got a notice today, which is kind of good timing, about the fact that your protection has expired, leaving your CPU, your computer vulnerable. Please take a moment to renew your subscription. Does that mean that it's over for that 7th version, and or do I have to now pay them money, or what's going on?
It depends on where you got the message from. If it's from AVG or one of the services that requires you to renew it every year, even though it's free, then it's legitimate. If you can't identify where it's coming from, it's malware.
Okay, it may be malware.
Well,
and that
go to. Let me make a suggestion, and everyone listening who has a Windows computer should do this, even if you don't anticipate a problem. Go to Bleeping Computer, BLEEPING Computer, bleepingcomputer.com.
Okay.
And go to the Windows section and download a program called Adware, ADWARE, Adware. Download it, install it, and run it. And once it installs, you have to tell it to scan. Once it scans, it's very uneventful. You have to look carefully to notice that it's done, and it's fairly quick. Mm-hmm. But then you will see if it finds anything, there will be a button that says cleaning. Well, when you press that cleaning button, it's going to go through and delete all the crap that it finds, and then it's going to reboot your computer. So make sure you've saved any files, and you don't care that your computer is going to be rebooted after you run it. And in my experience, that Adware cleaner gets rid of about 98% of the crap.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks. I will do that today, and that is leading into my next question about. I'm still just from your guys' recommendation using the Super Anti-Spyware, the free version, and I've tried to update it and all that. But I think I have some adware and other stuff that's slowing stuff down and whatnot. So I will do that. Mike, is there anything else you guys can tell me about? Any better? And I'll pay a small amount of money for any antivirus, adware, that store on my.
There's no reason to pay for anything. Everything you need is free for the most part. There are a couple of minor exceptions, but what I would do is I would uninstall Super Anti-Spyware. I would not let it run resident. I would only install it and run it as I needed to, just because theoretically you should be able to guard against it. If you're running, I would uninstall that, reboot the computer. Actually, before I did that, I would run Adware before I did anything, just in case. I'd go ahead because it's going to reboot. Once I ran Adware and then rebooted, I would probably then download, install, update, and run Malwarebytes, which is still the classic program for solving the problem. I would run that and see if it finds anything, which I doubt it will. And then once that's over and done with, I probably would, as I say, would uninstall Super Anti-Spyware. It's a good program. It looks terrible, but it's a good program and it works well. The problem with some of this malware garbage, particularly if you get a rootkit, is not any one program finds it all. I related a story a few weeks ago about a computer I was having a problem with that the hard drive, it just seemed like the hard drive was just slow. It was acting like a bad hard drive. I even put a new hard drive in it, and it sort of quote unquote solved it for a moment. Then it started doing it again. Then I knew something else was wrong. I ran all of these utilities on it, and nothing found anything. But then I found this unknown to me utility at Microsoft of all places called, I forget what it's called now, Microsoft Security Scan or something like that. Anyway, I downloaded that, installed it, and ran it, and it found a really ugly gremlin hiding on there, and once it removed it, the computer's been working perfectly ever since. So there's no one solution. There are several things that you can run that don't hurt anything that you could download and run periodically. For example, that adware, if you've got a tendency to have an adware or malware problem, I'd run that probably every 2 or 3 weeks, just as a matter of course. I would run Malwarebytes. You can run it all you want to without causing any problem. Do not run combo fix routinely. Anyone who does that is asking for trouble. But most of the other programs, they don't hurt anything. There are some tricks that you can use to get a system back to normal. But my experience with between malware bytes and adware, you'll get 99% of it, and that's not saying the other 1% is not a dog, because it can be, like the problem I ran into. But that's what I would offer as a matter of good maintenance.
Okay, great.
Right. And if you on the Computers 2K Now page on the left, if you click on links, you have links to quite a few anti-spyware, anti-malware. So if you need to download anything, you can go directly there and get them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me, Amnon, about that. I'll do that too. And now my final question, because I don't want to take up the whole program here with my questions and problems, is that I have gone ahead and I've purchased a couple of new things here. A Lenovo laptop for about $300. I forget which one exactly. It's great. And then also an HP tablet that was less than $200. Of course, now it's all about version 8 on Windows, and the tablet I'm actually giving to a cousin who is completely computer illiterate. And my first question again is with the malware virus problem, because the old Norton Utilities is already installed. Do we need to uninstall that and then go back to the stuff you guys are recommending?
Well, Amnon may disagree, but I got to tell you, if I had a program with Norton Utilities on it and I knew how to do it, I'd probably wipe the hard drive and start all over again.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't do that if you're not computer savvy, because you can run into a mess trying to recreate it. But if you've got the restore disk where it includes all the drivers and you're not intimidated by all the Windows updates, I would be inclined to do that. I got to tell you, I'm about at the point that, unfortunately, because of the problems with malware, anybody who's computer illiterate or otherwise, they really sound like candidates for Macs. Brent is also making a suggestion you might want to consider.
Okay, actually, you dropped out. I missed the last 30 seconds of what you told me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, something's happening here. Did you lose him, Amnon?
No.
I just didn't hear.
So what was the last? What I was going to tell you that Brent has another suggestion as well.
Brent,
are you familiar with CCleaner?
CC Cleaner?
It's CCleaner. It looks like CC Cleaner.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I think you guys recommended that, and I think I've got it on the computer I've been using, but I haven't used it in a while. Do I need to do that?
It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
It'll help clean up some crap. CCleaner stands for crap cleaner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean that's what Amnon. His volume is really low. Are you getting good level on him?
I'm hearing him fine. I mean the same as I did all along.
I know, but how is the meter? Is he hitting into the yellow on the meter? When he talks.
Just
watch when he talks. But CCleaner is crap cleaner, and it's useful. That you have to be careful with it, because it will in fact delete a lot of your cached sites and things like that. So if you're like me and you bounce around a lot, then you have to tell it what not to remove. But if you're really looking to solve a problem and clean it up, and particularly if you're going to give the computer to someone else, you should run CCleaner. And by the way, they update it about every other day. So every time you start it, it's going to check for a new version and always let it install it.
Okay, that's great. I will take all of your recommendations, and I'll give you an update sometime soon. Call back, and you guys are the best. You really are. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
You guys have a great day, great week, great life.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, he's hitting the yellows.
Okay. Well, it's just really strange how his audio is very low coming, because I try to keep the speaker down so that we don't get a lot of echo from me, and that's part of the problem. But long as the stream can hear him well, that's what counts.
Yep.
So anyway, and howsoever. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Norton at all. Their corporate version is good. We use it at the office.
I told you that when somebody called me and says that they have a problem with virus, I said, which antivirus are you using? They said, Norton antivirus. I said, no, I mean, which antivirus are you using? I said, Norton. I said, no, you're not.
They don't get it, Amnon.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that every one of them will let through a virus if it's brand new and their files are not up to date.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The worst thing about Norton is, and if any of you out there is using Norton and your computer is slow, just uninstall it. I mean, if you really want to keep on using it, uninstall it and reinstall it. I don't know why, but and AVG started doing these things also a few years ago, that it'll slow it down to a crawl, and reinstalling it clears the problem. So that if you're using, this is why, I mean, I love Avast now. Avast works like a charm. It's so fast. And I'm sure there are others that work good. Yeah, Mike.
No, I was just going to say the question in chat, what's wrong with Security Essentials?
Oh,
nothing's wrong with it except that it's a Microsoft product, and you got Microsoft haters who are saying, "Oh, it's garbage. It's no good. It's no good." Well, you know what? If you don't,
the truth is,
like it,
the truth is, I've seen by now a few Windows 7 and a couple of Windows 8 machines that had a virus, and they're running Security Essentials. Some of the tests showing that Security Essential is not up there with the rest of them. Most people are using Security Essentials, and they have no problem. But it may also be that they will not have any problem if they did not have an antivirus, period.
Exactly right. And that's why I use it exclusively. And
yeah.
And I don't mean this as unkindly as it sounds. I really don't. But you know what? If you click on that crap, you ought to learn not to.
Yep.
I'm not going to say you deserve it, because no one should be putting that crap out there. But you know what? If you're not careful, leaving your doors unlocked, some thug's going to break into your house or walk into your house. If you leave $100 bills laying on the porch, they're going to disappear. If you leave your computer wide open, things are going to happen.
Uh-oh. What happened to your audio?
I don't know.
It sounded kind of funny and you went quiet.
I don't know. I didn't touch the thing.
No? Okay.
I'm fairly convinced that Time Warner does maintenance on Sunday mornings.
Well, that's fine. No, I mean, Security Essentials works for all, like Steve said, basic security. It works.
Yeah.
If you are one that frequents porn sites and pirate sites, you really need to educate yourself to what to expect, because that's
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Oh. Sounds familiar.
Yep.
You need to get educated as to how you get a virus and what to expect. Don't just surf through these sites like you are on Adobe sites or Microsoft or Yahoo.
See, but you can, Amnon, and the way you do that, if you're gonna be a frequent pirater and you're gonna access these websites, you need to run ad block, because if you run ad block, you're gonna get rid of all of the fake download now buttons or quick download, click here. If you're serious about pirating and you're not running ad block, you're
good
an idiot.
Point. Very good point. That's part of the getting educated. That's right. So
when you run, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just saying the other thing is you need to only go to quality porn sites.
Like if you go to the Pirate Bay without ad block, there's download buttons all over it. If you go there with ad block like I am right now, and you click on a show, there is one download. It says get this torrent. And if I turn ad block off and do a refresh of the same page, there's download, anonymous download, free download, movies, all this other stuff. Attention, you must install this required version of uTorrent to download this torrent. All these adware, malware viruses on.
You really need to be. You can't just. It's sort of like you can cross the street in your subdivision in many cases without even looking left and right. But if you go to cross I-95, 4 lanes, then you really need to watch out and be very, very careful. It's sort of like the same thing. You need to know what to expect. You need to be informed. And in many cases also, if you many of the viruses actually stay in your temporary files. So I don't care. You can run 20 times a day. You can run CCleaner and remove and clean the temporary files and all the other files that it takes out. You can't hurt anything but by running it again and again and again. So I would say, because in many cases when I get a machine that comes in and it has viruses, the first thing I run is CCleaner, and then I go to hunt the actual virus. But you can run it again and again and again, and it will not hurt anything. Yeah, Tim say, get a Mac. Sure. For now. Even now, still. I mean, they're beginning to get them. So anyway, Nick, I needed your input on this. So Mozilla launched Firefox 38 with DRM technology for playing protected content in the HTML5 video tag on Windows. Ruby annotation support and improve their interface on Android. Firefox 38 for the desktop is available for download, blah, blah, blah. All existing users should be able to upgrade. As always, the Android version is trickling out slowly on Google Play. Note that there is a separate download for Firefox 38 without the DRM support. Our anonymous reader adds links to the... Never mind. Why would you need Firefox with the DRM technology in it? What is protected content?
If you're buying stuff from, like, I think, like...
He's talking about Netflix.
Well,
I'm sorry.
What?
No. I'm sorry. I read it somewhere else. Playing protected content in the HTML5 video tag. Go ahead.
Like stuff on iTunes, right? iTunes has got DRM built into the iTunes client.
Okay.
So if you buy something on iTunes, it means you can play it through iTunes. So you need DRM if you're... I don't know what sites are doing HTML5 DRM. But whatever sites are doing that, it's HTML5.
Oh, okay. So it's to actually help you get around.
No. You need it. Certain sites will not serve you content unless you have this HTML5 DRM. They're protecting their content.
Interesting.
That's what they're doing. But it's just something that they need, that you need.
I mean, whenever I read DRM, I'm thinking something negative.
That makes no sense at all.
Yeah,
DRM
well, I don't.
Rights, man. Everything is. That stuff is just protected. The DVDs are protected by DRM.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like something on the other side for protection and all that, and we know that sometimes it's being abused.
I guess. I don't know.
Now, we learned this week, and this is again from Slashdot, that AOL's dial-up business still has over 2 million customers who pay on average just under $21 a month for service. Regardless of how strange that seems to those of us that salivate over the prospects of gigabit internet, folks are still clinging to 56K modems, are adding millions to AOL's bottom line. However, also recall that AOL has a massive digital advertising platform with a heavy focus on the mobile sector and also owns a wealth of popular web destinations, including Engadget, TechCrunch, and the Huffington Post. With this in mind, it shouldn't be too surprising that Verizon has offered AOL a marriage proposal. Verizon is acquiring AOL for an estimated $50 per share, which brings the total value of the transaction to $4.4 billion. So Verizon is buying AOL. Things must be good at Verizon.
Oh, or things are really shitty at AOL.
Well, things have been shitty at AOL for a long time.
So I think that's more likely than things are really good at Verizon.
Well,
realistically.
Yeah, Steve is pointing about DRM, digital restriction management.
Well, DRM is needed for stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the DRM is not a problem. If you're having a problem with DRM, it's because you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing with your content. That's why, like, Silverlight, people still use, because I believe Silverlight does a lot of the DRM stuff. Like Time Warner Cable.
What's the other thing that the HDMI, some of the
high definition copyright protection?
The what?
HDCP.
HDCP, yeah.
So that you can't record a live output of a DVD player or Blu-ray player,
unless you have a switch or a hub.
Yeah, like I have a splitter that gets rid of it.
Yeah,
but I mean that's so that you don't throw it right into a capture card and record it.
Right.
The AOL thing is interesting. I wonder why they're acquiring AOL.
I mean, because of all the advertising, the user base.
I guess.
I mean, just that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these people that have the AOL and are paying for dial-up are not using it, or they use it every blue moon.
Yeah. I guess.
What is Jeff saying? AOL apparently has mastered the art of ads on mobile platform. Well, that's why Verizon would be interested. It's all about the ads. No content. It's all about the ads. About the ads.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, and the last piece of news that I have here is a petition submitted to the FCC by several of the players, including AT&T, CenturyLink, and US Telecom, who would be most affected by the agency's recently asserted internet regulatory power has been rejected by the agency's leadership. The internet providers, along with the CTIA Trade Association, asserted that FCC's open internet order is against the public interest. Per The Verge, the commission last Friday denied the petition, issuing an order that states its classification of broadband internet as a telecommunications service falls well within the commission's statutory authority. It is consistent with Supreme Court precedent and fully complies with the Administrative Procedure Act. Mike, were you listening?
I heard what you just read, but I was away before that.
Yeah, I mean, something about a petition.
All right, so a regulatory agency is challenged, and their response is, we did what was right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's news.
Yeah.
It'll be court tested.
Yeah, but I mean, FCC is getting a petition from these guys. At least I would think that they would say, okay, we'll look at it. But to come outright and say we're rejecting it.
You're challenging their authority. They don't take kindly to that.
That's arrogant.
No. Wow. How are we going to survive, Amnon?
How dare you, Amnon? Take that back.
You what?
Take that back.
The what? The arrogance or Mike's?
Take that comment back.
Yeah, you can't talk that way about our government.
Yeah.
How dare you?
All right. That's all I got.
I got to go anyhow, guys. If you guys
you stayed longer.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be gone sooner, but the trip has been slightly delayed, so
Yep.
I am now under the gun.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye, Mike.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll check you. Hopefully see you next week, and appreciate everybody tuning in and participating. It's a lot of fun.
I'd say keep it buzzing.
Keep it buzzing.
Buzz. Take the buzz out of the equipment, though. All right, Nick.
We didn't talk about Amnon. Anything exciting happened this week? I normally ask you that at the beginning of the show.
And,
Something to talk about.
no, well, what's exciting? What?
I don't know. You always have
You
a
went.
story.
You went to the prom on Friday.
This is a technology show. No,
People are interested in knowing what Nick is doing.
they really aren't.
No, nothing.
Computer problem. A computer came in and had this, or nothing.
No, I mean this was really a very slow week. All I did is work around the house.
Well, there you go.
Installed a new storm door. Went and got bullfrog tadpoles to put in the pond. I mean, it's just. I mean, I was
Camera for sure.
What?
On camera.
Yeah. No, it was a slow week, which is fine. Yeah, I need those sometimes.
I would agree.
But no, nothing with computers. No. All right. Unless somebody in the chat wants to talk about anything, we'll sign off. I've got people working outside. I need to go out there anyway.
All right. Well, then this is good time then.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. No problem.
And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday night at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 8 o'clock, it's the Tanya Love Show. Tomorrow, it is the Breaking Free Show. See you, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.